Hello, my name is Nicolas Polimenakos. I help out behind the scenes here at NORWAC, the Northwest Astrological Conference. Today I'm with Amanda Moreno. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to see you. NORWAC is an amazing conference. It's in its 41st year here, and it happens every Memorial Day weekend outside of Seattle. You can attend in person, except it's sold out in person, but the amazing thing in the times that we're living in is we can also broadcast the conference online. If you're interested in all the information about this, it's at norwac.net. There are a bunch of speakers and amazing lecture topics. There's pre and post conference lectures that happen. All of that is on the website. Amanda, you're doing two lectures for the NORWAC weekend. The first one is on Saturday, May 24th. It is called Intersections of Fate and Free Will, the Lunar Nodes in Modern Astrology. That's an interesting title, by the way. Uh, Tell us a little bit about this lecture.
Yeah, so this is kind of coming from 15 years of working with the lunar nodes or focusing on the lunar nodes in my practice. And so this is going to be an opportunity to kind of explore astrology as more of a participatory practice and looking at the ways that the lunar nodes show up as parts of the chart that emphasize core paradoxes that we often find ourselves enmeshed in over and over again in our lifetimes. It's going to look at a little bit of the astronomy of the lunar modes because that helps to give us like an astronomical and visual representation of what the lunar nodes actually are and the way that they are describing the moon's interfacing with Earth and the sun. And then it's also going to give us an opportunity to look at the ways that the lunar nodes are sometimes talked about as being like a linear progression, like you're going from the south node to the north node in this
Right.
lifetime. But it's something that doesn't seem to like bear out in practice. And they mo are more about these kind of intersections, core paradoxes, and through that, ways that we're invited to like hold the tension of seeming opposites. So for example, like the Aries Libra axis, when it's heightened through the nodes, is oftentimes talking about like a core quandary of wanting absolute freedom and absolute relationship in life, and the way that a person tends to kind of like come up against that over and over again. So then we'll look at the charts of Frida Kahlo and Tori Amos. At least I think that's what I'm going with at this
Okay.
point,
Yeah.
to kind of see how nodal themes are emphasized through the course of a person's life and art, which is really cool. I'm excited to like look at art and look at song lyrics and things like that that really
Yeah.
show the expressions of the nodes. And then also look at like how you can work with them in your chart as a way of helping you to navigate kind of core phases of life.
Yeah, no, that's a great, interesting way of looking at the nodes here too. I like the title. Side note, I think she's got an astrologer. As a matter of fact, I think she's into it. Whether I don't know if she said anything publicly about that or not. Maybe you might know, but I think she has one. I just have this feeling about them that they have a connection to astrology.
I
Um,
believe it. I
yeah.
think that there's a connection to tarot for sure.
Huh.
And oftentimes the two kind of go in hand. But now I need
Sure.
to do some digging to find out.
Yeah, I just noticed like some songs and over the years, it's just I'm like so saying that, yeah, that lecture you're gonna do that lecture on Saturday, May 24th, and then on Sunday, next day, you have a lecture. It's called Working with Midlife Transits. I like this, by the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like it too. I'm really excited about it. I think that like as I faced my midlife transits, it seemed like all of the literature that I could read, like I could get it at a kind of like thematic level, but the context of my life is so different from what I was reading, which is essentially like you hit your midlife transits and like the kids leave the house and you have empty nester syndrome. And what are you going to do with that? And I was like, I don't have kids. But at a bigger level, I want to bring in the current context of the world and what's going on at the level of, politics and climate collapse, because what the midlife transits are doing is kind of awakening the generational seeds we're born with,
mhm.
through like the outer planets and bringing in turning points in terms of our emotional well-being and our sense of having freedom and agency in our life, and all of this happening like through a confrontation with mortality, essentially, right? And it being kind of like half over. And so it's gonna be a fast-paced talk, but we're gonna cover the Pluto square and how it's changing generationally in terms of timing, Neptune square, the Uranus opposition, and the Saturn opposition, and then tools for kind of like remediating, working with, and preparing for those transits or helping your clients to prepare for them.
Yeah, you pretty much named all the heavy hitters and the planets
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
as anybody who's hitting their 40s, let's say, and sort of by this, you're living it, or anybody who's gone through, you know it too. I'll be honest, I love working with clients at this time. I've had so many amazing things happen and realizations happen with clients just from, if they're realizing, oh, this is happening with Pluto square or Neptune square, just the acknowledgement first off, but especially with something like a Saturn opposition. So I think it's great topic, by the way. I really like this. Besides the two lectures, you and the rest of the speakers in NORWAC are part of Q&As that happen in between the lectures. Laurel Nalbandian, who runs the conference, Samantha, another astrologer who helps facilitate the online portion, and myself facilitate these Q&As. You're going to be in a Q&A here on Sunday, 3 o'clock. It's going to be yourself, Cameron Allen, Catherine Urban, Bear River, and Sarah Lahar. Like Sarah, if you're listening, I know if you're in Canada, I hope I got that right. What happens is, for those watching online, uh, you get to ask questions, sometimes participate, and usually a question gets asked, and then an improvisational conversation happens with the speakers and for those online. And so they were really cool. I was part of them last year, helped facilitate. Where we end up by the end of the session was always interesting. So that's one part of the online portion besides the lectures. All this information is on norwac.net. You can go to the conference weekend. There's pre and post conference lectures. You can do a la carte. You can do the whole thing. Um, I have a little surprise question for you,
Sure.
Amanda. Yeah, sure. People should expect that with me. Um, do you remember when your first NORWAC was when you attended, or you remember first memory or
Yeah,
something?
absolutely. My first NORAC was 2010, and
Oh,
it was my first time like being around so many astrologers and getting to speak the language. And I went to a lecture by Patricia Walsh about planets squaring the nodal axis, and I was like so blown away that walking to dinner that night, I sprained my ankle in true Aquarius fashion because my head was just like up in the clouds, and
right.
it was very impactful, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, so you're halfway out of your body walking around there. And then, yeah.
Yes.
I know you from the astrological community in Seattle and NORWAC, and so I have my own memories, obviously, but that's how I know you, Amanda. And I know your work over the years and the type of work that you do and your presence and from your Substack and some of the other things that you've done. So it's going to be good to see you, by the way,
Yeah, you
face
too.
to face. Yeah. The other thing is, the online portion of it too is you never know who you're going to meet. I met people online last year, and over the years when I've helped Laura with the initial 2020 and 21
Sure.
conferences that happened in a pandemic, I was a big part of that, and just how things have evolved from the technological end with conferences and hybrid conferences. So, besides the lectures and the Q&As, we have a party that happens online on the Saturday night. I think I'm about opening the room on Thursday as a pre-funk to hang out. I sometimes surprise people. Like on the Saturday last year, I was running into people like, come in the room with me, just say hi to everybody online. By the way, hint, hint, man, if I run into you,
Ready.
you know what I'm doing. So all of that, I just think it's an interesting time that we live in, and this also comes to a place of like accessibility, because there're just those who may not be able to afford to travel and get a room, or in different parts of their lives, the type of life where they can't do it, but they could still participate and show up online, and I really like that part of the online format,
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And such a big part of NORWAC is being able to mingle with people and speak the language. And it seems like y'all are incorporating that into the online experience in really cool ways and having just like the Q&As so that people can have FaceTime with the speakers and ask questions. And I know that like I do, I'm sure other speakers do. We love to riff on things.
yeah.
So like
Oh yeah.
asking those questions is where things get really juicy. And it's awesome that that's happening with the online experience.
Yeah, part of the format too is like in every lecture room, there's a room monitor there and the computers with everybody online. And then, it's known. All the speakers know that there's going to be a question or two that's relayed to the speakers, even within the lecture. There's that and many other things. So, again, it's always an interesting endeavor to do something like this, but most of all, it's the spirit behind it, people intermingling in person, online, and both, I'm pretty psyched for. So.
Me too.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'd be good to see you, Amanda. It'd be good to see you there. For anybody who's interested and wants to check out the lecture lineup, the speaker lineup, etc., you can go to norwac.net. I shouldn't have said this. I should have said this before. It's May 22nd to May 26th. It's pretty much every Memorial Day weekend historically. Those are the dates. We have, again, pre and post conference lectures. You can just attend those by themselves. Any purchase that you make online, like with the 3-day weekend, you also have 2 weeks to watch the rest of the lectures that you do not catch live, and that's another big perk about all of this. So, anyway, all that info is at norwac.net. Amanda, thanks for coming to say hi today.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good, and I'm psyched for your lectures too. And on that note. Check out the rest of the videos I have on my playlist, people. You can see the thing in the top here. You'll see it pop up at the end of the video. And we'll see you at the conference.
Bye.